In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors, from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socioeconomic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Diversion Diaries here with Childlink. Just to remind you that the Drive Project, Diversion Diaries, is under the Drive Project, and the acronym DRIVE stands for Diversion, Reintegration, Interventions Vital for Empowerment. And I want to remind you also that the DRIVE Project is founded by the European Union delegation in Guyana, and the overall objective of DRIVE is to strengthen policy, practices, and procedures to improve services for 3,000 children at risk who are in conflict with the law. This will be done through collaboration with key stakeholders such as the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Juvenile Justice Department, the Guyana Police Force, the Child Care and Protection Agency, which falls under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Protection, along with the Children's Court, which is also under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Protection. Today we will be talking about the life of a juvenile at the Juvenile Justice Center, and I have joining me today the house mother, one of the house mothers at the Juvenile Justice Center, Miss Onika Musa. Miss Musa, good afternoon.
Good
and
afternoon.
Welcome to Diversion Diaries with
Thank
Childlink.
you for having me here.
No problem. To start our discussion, I want to get to know you, to understand the work that you do at the Juvenile Justice Center. So we can start with the role you play as the house mother and what's it like.
So you already mentioned my name. I am at the Juvenile Holding Center for the past close to 2 years come November.
Okay.
My job starts when the social workers leave in the afternoon, so my main duties are in the evening.
In the evening.
So I start at 7 in the evening and I leave until 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Our task as house parents is to make sure that the juveniles are okay throughout the night and their needs are being met.
All right. And you said you've been there for 2 years, so I can tell that you really like what you do. Been there for 2 years, and I saw you smile when you started to explain. Now, what would you say, how would you describe your experience so far at the Juvenile Justice Center, interacting with the juveniles? I know people might get the perception that juveniles are bad children, but what would your description, or how would you describe your stay at the, Juvenile Justice Center so far?
My stay, I always say one thing, that you have to love what you do and do what you love.
Yeah.
And so my stay at the Juvenile Holding Center, you may not impact every juvenile that comes in, but you would make a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah.
We do not see the juveniles for what they enter the gate as, but we see them as what we can create and reintegrate them back into society. So my stay there, I would say, sometimes are challenging, but the outcome is worth being there. That you can see, society may take our children away, but there's still hope for them once they get there, and you can understand what they've been through and help pilot them in getting back out into society.
Right, making them what they have to be in society, you know, not just letting their future be snatched by delinquency. Now, you spoke of challenges. What are some of the challenges that you face at the Juvenile Justice Center?
So these are my children that comes
You
in.
see them as yours.
At yes, they're all my children. They come in at an age in which I would not have been there to nurture them. So now I have to work on what was their nurture and what we would expect them to be.
Right.
All right. So some of the challenges is my custom as a child. I am accustomed to XYZ. So the changes. So you know you have to work around attitude, mannerism, and so on. Yeah.
And I know working with them, you like you said, it's something you like. So I want to talk now about some of the programs that you work with them with. What are some of the programs at the Juvenile Justice Center that you have to reintegrate these children now back into society?
So at the holding center, we have they attend school from Monday to Friday.
Right.
There's
Like a
educational,
normal child, so.
like every other child. They're also given the opportunity to do CXC there. We
That's
had
nice.
passes. We had one student who went up this year for CXC, awaiting results. They also have the interaction of football, games, extracurricular activities. And they're much more that they get the opportunity to watch television, educational programs, that is. And feel free to talk to us and communicate with us like we're home. So basically the center is a home away from home, put aside in what was the cause of you getting there. So that's why.
And I know that, like you mentioned, I can sense that being in the center doesn't mean that you have a different life, like you're jaded or you're away from society. You have a normal life. You get to go to school. They get to interact with friends and so on. So it's basically like living a normal life, except they have these guided rules and so on, which will help them now to reintegrate back into society. Now, I'm sure you spoke about CXC and so on.
Yes.
And that's given these children the same equal opportunity to an education like any other child. I want to talk now about some of the success stories or some of those that you can look back at and say, like, I'm proud to have been this child's mother.
All right, for my timing there, I would have a few juveniles that would have stepped off barbering, that's one, and that juvenile would have learned from the center. We had another juvenile who would have gone on and end up into chef department and so on, right? So the center basically focus on what that juvenile wants to do, and we find ways and means for them to get their stuff done, to help them to bring out their skills and so on. At present, we have a farm, a little kitchen farm to the back. And I remember one day I was doing something wrong when one of my juveniles said to me, "No, Miss Onika, that's not how it got to be done." So I was planting the wrong way. And so I said, "You know agriculture?" And he said, "Yes." And that's what he does. He brings out, we have cabbage and all these things. So we also look at what they like to do and to help them.
And these programs are designed in such a way to not only give them academic success, but it's also designed to give them skills that they would need in everyday living and so on.
In everyday life, yes.
And you spoke about the gardening and so on. So I'm getting that from this gardening, do they sell the produce? Do they use them right at the center? How do they?
Well, the staff usually purchase it, and
okay, so they earn an income from that.
Well, no, I wouldn't say an income,
well,
per se, but it you know, if there's need for something for one of them, you can have
there's
it.
That money.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So that's also teaching them how to save and so on, how to
Yes.
become entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Right there. And let's talk now about when these children come, I know they might come in one way, and you guys have programs designed to send them out another way, which is better.
Right.
How would you do you see these programs that you have designed working? How would you describe the effectiveness of these programs that you have?
Most of the programs are designed from experience of the different juveniles that would have gone through. So for now, yes, those programs are effective and working because we don't plant what we want you to do on you, but you have an option. If you want to go this direction or you want to do this, that's how it's being worked out based on the evaluation from the classroom teacher and the social workers.
Okay. And your profession is a social worker.
Pardon?
Your profession.
Well, I'm aspiring.
Aspiring
yes,
social
third year
worker.
student.
Okay, student. Right. Yeah, you student.
Yes.
So, how would you describe working there and pursuing a degree in social work?
Excellent. My juveniles have helped me in a lot of ways because in behavioral changes, that we study in social work. I remember one of my project was a music therapy project, and it was the songs from the juveniles that we would usually play for them to help them, because remember they're incarcerated, they're not accustomed to being locked up all the time, so you try to do things that would help them to control their emotions and all of this. And most of the songs I used were from what the juveniles would have taught me, so my stay there is a learning ground, extremely balanced on how to handle challenges with them, how to assist them to pilot through and stuff like that.
Yeah. And let's talk now about a child who might come in, they're taking a while to reintegrate back. How do you handle that child, or what are some of the things that are set up? Is there any special program set up for a child who might still want to be partaking in juvenile behaviors? How do you handle a child like that?
So there are counselors, like I said, there's social workers attached there. So you have counseling sessions. There are also welfare that would come in every now and then. There's counseling of specialists that would come into the center to assist if deeper than the hand of the regular social worker. Yes. So they are. It's not like you just bring them and you're not looking back at when they step in, and a few weeks later you see the same behavior and you just leave them like that. But there's work, there's efforts that are being placed there. I should say thank you to the ministry and the Juvenile Justice Department for working along with us on getting that done. If there's a need for a specialist to come in, it is the person is there to work with the child if the child is being signaled out based on whatever behavior pattern. If you notice any other change, any other personality, the specialists are being called in on that. And so there are standbys other than us at the center that would come in and do sessions.
And that's great, because I know not every child would adapt the same way, and not you might have some who they're just accustomed to what they're accustomed to.
Yes.
And it takes a longer time for them to adapt and reintegrate back into society. Now, something we should have done from the start. I want to differentiate between the Juvenile Justice Center and I don't know if I should make it the equivalent. It's not the equivalent of prison, but differentiate between the Juvenile Justice Center and somewhere that someone might be staying for, let's say, a crime, an adult. Because I know people might think that the center is like a prison, but I know it's not a prison. So differentiate between those two.
Right. So the prisons. One of the things I would say, our juveniles were just last Friday on a tour of monuments, and there's more. That is
now
one
that
I
school
will
is
say.
Out, they have
That's
these
right.
activities.
That is one of the things that you would find not a part of the prison
Correct.
system. Recreational activities. not as often in the prison system as the juvenile holding center, and access to all the juveniles have equal opportunities at the holding center, unlike
a prison,
unlike the prison department, because the prison are they're older, you know, so it's easier for to get the young ones to adapt than the older ones. So our system is totally different because we have
specific
programs to deal with the children
also.
To reintegrate them. Yes,
and you wouldn't find that in a prison, because the prison is designed also to just keep people there for something they might have done, while the holding center is designed in such a way that these children now learn things that would be of essence, things that would help them now get back into society. I want to step away a little from the Juvenile Justice Center, if we can, and talk a bit about parenting. How can parents who might see a child going down the path of delinquency, what advice, as a social worker, from a social worker's background, what advice would you give to such a parent?
All right, so I always say one thing: it takes a village to grow a child. That's my thing.
If I be honest, for all the programs that I've had, everyone has said that. So
yes, so it's only not a parent, and every time a juvenile come into our system, I usually say society has taken away our babies. That's always my thing. So as a parent, when you find that you cannot handle that road for some way or the other, because we know parents, they're out there doing 2 to 3 jobs and trying to earn. At the same time, society is pulling our children away from us. Reach out to someone. Seek counseling for that child at an early stage, how best you can. There's Childlink, there's Ministry of Social Protection. There's so many places that you can go to, and don't look at these places as, and you have to allow your children to communicate open outly with you. Let them feel free. Let them feel free to come. I guess all social worker would have the same talk. Let them feel free to come and talk to you as a parent, no matter what the circumstances. But you have to open that relationship between you and your child. It's like I just see a child decide, well, I'm with my friends and they smoking and I try it. You know, you can be able to go home and say to your mother XYZ, and you communicate with them. I remember this one story of a child who locked himself outside of a house. And while I was driving coming out, this lady stopped and she said he locked himself out, and I put him in the car and take him to the father's workplace. So he was like, my father can beat me. See, father, I said, Daddy, if he told you the truth, you can't beat him. So, you see, a different story to what he told me. But there was the truth. It appears like the keys are supposed to be a certain way, but the keys was not there. So 2 days later, I probably saw the father and said, you beat this, and no. Right. So they told you the truth. And you know how to work around that. So you have to have that relationship with your child that would make them feel comfortable and not allow society to get away from them. Know your children's company. Know who they are around. I remember you know, in the days you have night over. But you want to know where your children are going night over, so you have the first night over.
So that you can see who is
able
coming.
to see who's coming to your night over, and you walk along with that. But parents must be able to have open communication with their children.
And you spoke about something. You spoke about beating.
Yes.
What would you say about? I know we don't recommend beating.
But recommend corporal punishment.
Yeah, corporal punishment. That's the correct term. You would know as the social worker. What other strategies are in place? You know, like that parent, he spoke to his child. What other strategies do you think are in place to, you know, a child might have done something, the parent is vexed. You know, they're mad about it. What other ways do you think they can now discipline that child other than corporal punishment?
A whole lot. Take away your gadgets, which is the number one thing that hurts children these days. dress them like the old people used to do. Take your clothes off, you're not going anywhere. Take away certain privilege. And that again, I'll come back to with the holding center. My children there have to earn privileges from me because I literally take my home to the holding center. So for you to come out to watch television, you have to earn it for the entire week. You have to do as you're supposed to do. Get up, do your chores, tidy up, wash your wares.
And I'm sure their academics are also tied in that too.
Exactly. You have to make sure your homework is being done. If I go there and I ask, your homework, none, we finished, let me see it. Same routine as home. So you have ways other than whipping a child to deal with them.
And tying their academics in that also help them to succeed academically.
Exactly.
Doing their chores, it teaches them responsibility. It doesn't only help with disciplining them at that moment, but it also adds to their future.
Exactly.
Coming back to the Juvenile Justice Center, where you're home away from home. What I know that what's the age range for the intake of a child who is a juvenile? And I know this would tie into the explanation or the who is a juvenile also.
14 to 18 years
14
old,
to 18.
yes.
So from the age of 14, if a child might have done something, let's say stealing, would it be if they have stolen something one time, can a parent now bring them to the Juvenile Justice Center, or there are other things in place? What's the
you have to go through the court to be placed at the juvenile holding center.
Okay.
So the court directs you or place you into the holding center. So let's just say a child that commits a one offense or probably two minor offenses. There are diversion programs that to deal with them, but they're not
taken to the center.
No, not taken. Or your parents just bring you and say, I want you to come I want to bring this child into the holding center because he or she is not behaving well, probably didn't go to school for a week or two. The court have to place you at the holding center.
And this is based on, I guess, the offense committed also. And that's between the ages of 14 to 18.
Yes.
So at the age of 18, these children now, between that process, I know they're fully packed with things to help them reintegrate into society, to add to society. At 18 now, they leave. Is it that the Juvenile Justice Center recommend, places they can work, or after they sit their examinations, the CSEC exams, is it that the center say, okay, you can go work here, or do they still work with them, or do you guys still work with them?
So you're talking about after leaving?
After.
Yes. There's a department that still work with the juveniles. That falls on the welfare that to follow on, and most of them would come back. But it's not to say that you just leave them and they go out and that's it. They're being left on their own. There's still pilot programs for them to go through.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Because as much as they have been in these centers, they learn so much and all that, they still need that guide. And let's talk now about their parents. What's the interactions like with their parents at the centers, the children and the parents?
All right, so parents are allowed to visit, have time with them, speak to the social workers. Sometimes they have together family counseling. If there's a challenge, as one of the house parent, we would let the parent know what
there's
is the
regular
challenge.
Communication.
So there's communication between us and the parents in order to help. Because even though they're there, I might love my mother. So the person who to get me to adjust is my mother. So you find something like, I can call your mother. All right, don't call my mother. Or I might call your brother. It all depends on who the child is connected to. And so you can talk around them on that. So you find you have to have that relationship with their relative. But if it's a mother, father, it might be an older sister that is parenting in the absence of the parent. So, yeah.
So it's not like the parents are completely blanked out of these children's life. They're active in their lives,
Yes.
and they're seeing their development. Do you have cases, or is it possible that a child might, let's say a child is showing signs of non-juvenile behaviors, can that child go back to the parent, or that child would stay at the center until they reach 18? Or let's say they come in at 14, would they stay until they reach 18, or
That would have to be between the court and
right, like you mentioned,
yes,
the court
please, yes,
recommends.
the court is who recommend the children to the center, and so they make the decision on that. And going back on the parent relationship, we also have Father's Day, Mother's Day,
Yes.
and they have their fun days, Christmas time, that parents come in and they have bond moments, so it's not just I'm locked away, I'm away from my family. Sisters, nieces, and so would come.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's really nice.
and you might be amazed to know some might have a baby. They
Right.
bring
They
yeah,
bring them along
yeah.
also.
So
So there's no gap between them and their families. Their
No.
families are well involved in their lives.
yes,
Now, to step away a bit from the center and to come to you as a social worker once more, what advice would you give to, let's say, religious institutions as a whole in helping to diminish juvenile delinquency?
all right. So I one of the things I want to say to most persons that are religious
Or like you spoke of communities
is
also.
good. Don't see a child. Let's say we have a child who we know usually goes through that window of a neighbor, one or two. Talk to that child.
Talk to them.
Don't talk the child down. That's the problem we have with society. Instead of we assist and to see what's the problem, we talk the child down.
Yeah.
And I done bad. Nothing more nobody could say about me, Besides, what do you want me to do? I done bad already. What else I could do other than being bad? But if you tell them that you're seeing at least one or two good in them, that would help. So for me, the religious society really need to step out there.
And
And
communities also.
communities also help those children. Stop and talk to them. Assist them. The people say nowadays parents you can't talk to them. They will listen. Your words will not fall on their ears. It may not
Be
stick with
immediately.
them immediately, but in the quiet moment or when something happens, you say, well, Miss Jane did talk to me about this. And then sometimes it's too late to pull yourself up, but sometimes it might be the right time to just pull yourself up. And also, even to when the church or the
Temple
pandit
and-
or the Muslim leader steps into our life to assist us, you have to be willing and open
Yeah.
to understand that these people are here to only help you from the praise of society, because those persons in society are waiting there to collect our sons and daughters as soon as they look like they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Right. And
Us
that's
as
why.
parents and the religious leaders.
Right. Because it takes a village. Like
It takes a
you said.
village to raise a child.
And that's why it have programs like the juvenile justice centers, like you guys have there, to help them now divert and to help them see where they're going wrong and to bring them back.
Yes.
I want to speak now about teachers. The role teachers can play. I know communicating with children would also come in here again. We can't emphasize enough on communicating. So, what other strategies do you think teachers also can play in helping prevent delinquency?
All right. So, teachers. If I can share a personal experience, I have two of my past secondary school teachers that were mothers to me. And that's what I think needs to come back into society. You're not only there to teach, but you are our children's mother between the hours of 9 to 3
Right.
or 8 to 12. And so my child is in your care.
Mm-hmm.
What I may fail to do, I require of you
Right.
as a mother
Correct.
to my child. So you're my child's second mother. That's something I always say to my children's teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Do not call me to help you solve the problem. Solve the problem, then tell me what happened afterwards.
Right.
You're the mother,
Yeah.
right? So that for me, I think teachers just need to step out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Step out from the teacher for the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and let me take this mother role now.
Mm-hmm.
And I come over as a mother,
Right.
and you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So going back to me saying these two women that I look at them as a mother,
Right.
teachers
Yeah.
that took me under their care,
Mm-hmm.
lived at their homes
Wow.
for months between the two,
Mm-hmm.
So do we have teachers like that now?
I
That
think
would take me into their homes,
Yeah.
and if they see, like they say, people see what you don't see. You see something, and you help to cover that child, because you never know what happens in the future.
Correct.
But instead of society taking away that child, every school,
Mm-hmm.
there is one teacher in that school, or maybe two, that every child is fearful of.
Yeah.
Very fearful. We all have that experience.
Yeah. I've had that experience.
Exactly. So that's when that teacher
Mm-hmm.
needs to step out.
Correct.
Might not be my form child, but I'll step out and talk to you as a
Mhm.
man, especially to the boys.
Right.
Because if you notice, society is more taking away our males.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have all our males incarcerated, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So teachers, don't just chalk and talk,
Mm-hmm.
but look into the interest, look into those little things that you can assist us as parents. Because by the time we get home in the evenings, you see more than us.
Right.
A whole lot more than
A
us,
whole
you
lot.
see.
Correct. So right. And you spoke just now about teachers, playing a critical role in the lives of children and so on. And you also spoke about boys being incarcerated. As we're coming to program time, the time just went by so fast. Do you, or is boys only juveniles, or you have
They're
females
boys,
who are?
they're female juveniles, but a ratio,
Mm-hmm.
boys. That's why I more emphasize on our males.
On the males.
Yes, because they're our heads of homes, when they're being snapped away by society.
Mm-hmm.
So as parents,
Mhm.
as teachers, as religious leaders, as social workers, as a community, even to a security officer,
Mm-hmm.
let's work
Generally.
together generally
Mm-hmm.
and pull our society back.
Pull the society.
Yes.
And as we are now at program time, any last words you'd like to leave, Miss Mirza?
Wow, like I just said, parents, teachers, community workers, whatever, work towards making our society a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just pass by and say that child is not mine. I do not like to see juveniles into the juvenile holding center.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts me. When they're leaving, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
When they come to us, I feel as though we're not doing much in society.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a community, as a village, let's grow our children.
Right. But of course, when they come, the programs there are geared towards
To work with them.
integrating them.
Yes.
And working.
Yes.
It's not like it's the end of the
I
road
ended
for
the
them.
world for them, no?
With people like you, I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll be reintegrated in a good way to contribute.
And don't see them for their past,
Yeah.
but see them for what they would have become.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you see them for their past,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way you're going to stretch that hand out to help.
Mm-hmm.
But see them for what you know or you see
The
in
potential
them
and so on.
that they would become in later years to come.
Thank you, Miss
And
Mirza.
thank you for having me.
I want to thank you for appearing today on Diversion Diaries and for enlightening us with the wealth of knowledge you have,
Thank
for
you.
being the house mother over the past 2 years at the Juvenile Justice Center. And with that, we have come to the end of Diversion Diaries in this episode. And before we go, I'd just like to remind you, the viewers, that this program, Diversion Diaries, falls under the Drive Project, And the acronym DRIVE stands for Diversion, Reintegration Interventions Vital for Empowerment. And the DRIVE project is funded by the European Union delegation in Guyana, and DRIVE aim to provide support and strengthen policy, practices, and procedures, and to improve services for 3,000 children at risk who are in conflict with the law. And this will be done through collaboration with key stakeholders such as the Ministry of Human Services, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and under these agencies we have organizations like the Juvenile Justice Center, the Children's Court, Child Care and Protection Agency, and the Guyana Police Force also. And with that being said, I'd like to remind you that Childlink is committed to a Guyanese society where every child grows up in a safe and secure family and community. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on Diversion Diaries once again. My name is Milton Granham, and I am the Advocacy and Communications Officer at Childlink. See you next time.
There are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socioeconomic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive.